Welcome to Finding Joy Live. I am so glad to be here today with Tammy Johnston. We're going to talk about the magic of following your heart all the way until you get to your dream. So, welcome, Tammy.
Thank you for having me, Donnalynn.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. You're very fun, and I love that. It's an important thing for me to sort of find those people in life who are really streaming a lot of life through them, and I can definitely tell that that is how you are running your life. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, Tammy, we're going to hear a little bit about your business in a little while, but I want to, just before we go there, I want to talk about this concept of sort of following your heart, right? Because I think it gets construed in a lot of different ways. And being able to sort of really tap into yourself in order to reach for that dream, for that business, for whatever it is you're reaching for is a real skill. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I always go when I'm talking to people, I'm going, do you know what the smartest part of your body is?
What
What's
is
your
it?
guess?
Love that. Well, for me, the smartest part of my body is my heart. I
Well,
am
I go,
clear about
it's a
that.
little bit lower. I go, it's your belly button.
It's your gut.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's your belly button. And I'm going, whenever I have paid attention to my belly button, I have been led to the most wonderful things that wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, it's how I met my husband, it's how I started my business, it's how I found like jobs and stuff before I decided to start my business. And anytime I have used my brain to try and override the
Mm.
screaming in my belly button, um, I lose. I have a great big huge chunk taken out of my butt, and I never seem to lose any weight. Like, it's a bad situation all the way around. So I'm going, I have learned through many decades of experience to pay attention to like what you call your heart, what I call my gut, and let it guide me. It doesn't mean like we're stupid or we don't pay attention to logic or facts or anything like that, but we have this innate knowing that guides us as long as we pay attention.
So this is really interesting, this idea of listening to your gut. I think it's an important one. It certainly is a part of your body, right? Your anatomy and your energetic anatomy that really can give you a lot of information. I was in a meeting with a gentleman who's big in talking on stages now, and he I think this was yesterday or the day before, it might have been the day before, and he told this story about how he almost didn't become someone who speaks on stages, right? He went to like a marketing convention. They had like a pitch off sign up at the door. He was like, well, does it cost money? And they were like, yeah, it costs money. Yeah, we're going to collect a bunch of money from you. And he's like, no. And he said he got about 5 feet away from the table, and he knew that if in that moment he did not reach for what he really wanted, which he could feel in his gut, that he would regret it the rest of his life. And I think that thing is kind of what you're getting at. Is that right?
Yeah, that's definitely a large part of it. Or sometimes, like, it's just listening to like the subtle clues that it's just speaking to you, and it doesn't make any sense, but it's just going. You're being led by like this invisible string that's pulling you along, and I'm going. It has never taken me to the wrong place as long as I
Mm,
pay attention.
mm, mm. Okay. Okay. So here we are. We're kind of trying to get open. How do we do that? How do we find this connection to this string?
Well, the big thing is you need to become comfortable in your own skin. Like, there's so many people that are afraid of being alone with themselves. Like, I'm a major introvert. Like, people go, "How could you be an introvert, Tammy?" Like, because I do a lot of public speaking and teaching and podcast stuff. They're going, "How could you possibly be an introvert?" I'm going, an introvert is not like how you are to the outside. It's what do you do to recharge your batteries? And there's so
Mm,
many people like they can't turn off a radio, or they always have to be on a device or something. They can never ever be quiet. They constantly have to be distracted.
I
So
knew a
you
woman
can't
one time
hear
who
anything.
hummed. I knew a woman that hummed. all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. If she wasn't speaking, she was humming. And I was like, how do you handle that? How can you hear yourself? Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
trying not to hear themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying
Yeah.
not to
Or
hear
really anyone else, right? Because you can't let something in when you're trying to hold that same vibration all the time, whether it's a radio or, right?
Yeah. So meditation, I like going out for walks in nature by myself. No music, no iPod, no none of that stuff. And just you need to become comfortable so that with yourself, with being by yourself, so that you can start to hear the loving, quiet voices. Because like you said, if you're constantly in noise, like I am very sensitive to noise. Like I don't listen to the radio very often, or if I'm trying to think or deal with something, like let's just have some quiet so that like I can pick up on the signals that the universe is sending me.
You're reminding me that there were many, many times when I was married that my husband, I'd be doing something and it wasn't private or anything, but it was intensive, right? I'd be in creation mode.
Yep.
And my husband would walk through into the room and want to like sit on the other side of the room. I'd be like, why are you being here? This is too loud for me. I can't handle it. Right? So that
are you married
sensitivity.
to my husband's twin brother?
Right? Yeah, sometimes our sensitivity can be so high that even just movement, right? Even just it can be really distracting when you really go inward and find that deep, deep connection.
Yep.
I love that you're talking about that. And I love that you're talking about multiple ways to get there because I really feel like we each have our own way. And there's so many great ways that, I mean, people are out there teaching how to do this in so many ways that if you can find one, you don't have to master all of them.
Well, you can't
find
master all
one.
and then you need to have different ways because sometimes different things are going to work for you. So it's like, okay, well, you know what? I just can't seem to meditate right now. I got something going on. So now I'm going to go for a walk, or sometimes it's talking to a good, trusted friend. Like there's so many different things that you need to like. Once again, it comes back to listening. What do I need right now to help me to get to that emotional, spiritual place so I can get the message?
Nice. Really nice. I like that. I think that this internal work, it seems to have such a giant impact on where we get. It kind of reminds me of like a frog, it's like if you can do the internal work, you got some spring in your step, you can really jump over a bunch of things. And if not, you're going to be just the turtle going along, going like, this is hard, but I'm doing it, know? Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So how does that, I know you work with business people, how does that ability to do that tap in start to impact the decisions that people make to move toward their dream or dream business in your case?
Well, the big thing is when you slow down and you're tapped in, you are responding, you are working a plan, where most people are just reacting. Like they're the equivalent of the ball in the pinball machine. And you pull back the plunger and you shoot it out, and then they're just bouncing all over the place, and then they don't know what's going on, and they come out bruised. Where when you slow down and you can pay attention, going, where do I want to be going? Like, what am I actually building with this, rather than always working out of fear and panic and urgency. Like, yes, there's definitely times we need to have a sense of urgency, but so many people are operating like it's a 5-alarm fire all the time, and they're wondering why they're exhausted, not accomplishing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And also, it's so easy to get caught up in the busy work of life. I mean, I think that, businesses and life provide so many opportunities to have to do things that actually are not on your path. They're not bringing you forward. People who have heard me probably will have heard this story before, but it reminds me of this movie I watched where the kid was a 15-year-old and the mother wanted him to take the garbage out, and she keeps yelling to take the garbage out, and he's fully engaged, right? He's fully engaged in what he's doing. He hears her, but he keeps saying, yeah, 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 yeah. But he's fully engaged over here. And then eventually he just does it. He runs out, he takes the garbage out, and he runs back, and he's fully engaged again. And I think a lot of times when there are things we have to do, right? We have to take the garbage out. We have to do the dishes. We have to file the payroll taxes. Like, we have to do all the things, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes we get in them and we think they have to be fulfilling in that gut area or in your heart, or right? And like, this is just the thing you're going to do as well and quickly as possible so that you can get to the thing that is fully engaged for you.
Well, like you said, there's always stuff that you have to do that isn't always the most joyful stuff. But if you're planning it and you're slowing down, you can look at things in a much better way and then go, okay, how can I make sure that this stuff is being looked after, is getting done? Maybe I need to be getting help to be doing it. Maybe I just need to be carving out like an hour or two here and there to spend that time looking after things so that the garbage is being looked after before it's like overflowing, it's fallen on the floor and the dogs ripped it open. So it's, okay, how do we go through and look after stuff?
And this is a really good question, right? Because this is how we get to overwhelm.
Yep.
Right? This is how we've stopped listening and we go like, life is too much. Everything here is too much. I can't do it. I can't make it. And we lose track of that dream. What do we do when we get into that state?
Once again, I would say slow down. Find your quiet space. Something that I tell people all the time when you're in business, but this is good no matter what, is I call it have your business 911 number. So it's this person that understands the journey that you're on, is in the same arena. Like, if you're a business person, you need to have some other business people that you can call up, and you pull out your number and you phone them up. The first thing, do you have a couple of moments, and do you have the capacity to deal with me venting for a minute? And then if they say yes, great. Then you can just put it all out, and they listen to you and they love you and support you and help you work through it. Or sometimes it's just you need to have a safe voice that you can let things out on, and they remind you why you're doing what you're doing, give you a pat on the butt and send you back to it. Like, having those supportive people around you are so very, very important. Like, I'm the business 911 number for quite a few people. I have one or two, because sometimes you phone and they're not available, or, you know what, I don't have the time right now, or can we talk later or whatever. But that has helped so many times, because no matter how good you are, or how, like, I've been in business, I've been running my own business for over 20 years. I still have those days where it's like, oh, damn, you know what? Maybe I should just go find a job. Then I wouldn't have to deal with any of this stuff. I just, go in, do what I need to do, and then be done with it. And that's never a good feeling. So have your business 911 to help you reset.
Yes, very interesting, very interesting. And I like that you bring up this idea of being able to go within as well. So these are two different tools, and a great way to point up the value of coaching, right?
Yes.
Because it's a
good coach is worth their weight in platinum.
Yeah. It's a great connection for you for this and for many other reasons, but for this reason as well, right? So that we call it kind of accountability a lot of times, but really it's deeper than that, isn't it?
Well, sometimes it's accountability, sometimes it's support, sometimes it's a sounding board. It can be all sorts of different things. And a lot of people don't like the word accountability because it sounds like punishment, or the big bad wolf that's going to make me get everything done. And if I slip up, I'm going to be in trouble. And that's not how it is with a good coach. That's not accountability. But a lot of people think it's much harsher word than it is. But it's the accountability, it's the support, it's the love, it's the understanding, it's the sounding board, it's all of those good things.
So one of the things you're bringing up about sort of, right, because we're getting back to this, like, how do we, what is that magic that we get when we follow our inside voice in order to get to the dreams? And I love that you're bringing up community, right? So you're bringing up, yes, coaching, accountability, a way to reach out for somebody who's in the same shoes that you're in, right? Somebody, a buddy.
Yep.
But what else can we do for that community piece of it?
Well, I'm a big fan of networking. Find a good networking group or two and go consistently. Like a lot of people think networking is I'm going to hand out my business card and meet a couple people and I'm going to get all this business. That is not how networking works. It takes time. We do business with people we know, like, and trust, and it takes time to get to know, like, and trust someone. So you need to be going, you need to be giving, you need to be sharing. Like, give first, give always, and then it comes back. Like, I've been part of networking groups for years, and some of them it literally took years before I started to get business out of it. But then it came an awful lot faster. And I've been to networking groups where you're going, you know what? No, this is not the place for me. Not that there's anything wrong with the group. It's just not the right fit for me. So going and finding groups, it could be a volunteer association that you're connecting with because you guys are sharing a common vision and stuff. But you need to be going out and we need to be interacting with people. Like, I love the virtual world. Like, you're in Florida and I'm in British Columbia, Canada. Like, we are literally opposite ends of the continent. And this is wonderful, but it's not quite the same as if you and I were able to go to a networking event where we're having dinner and we're sitting at the same table and you get to connect on a deeper level. And if you can't get out physically, at least try and find something like this. We need community.
Yeah, I have to say I came from an area that didn't have a very large population before I came to Florida. And so for me, that finding a way piece of it was really important. It was more than the activity, right? Well, I have to find a place that I can interact in this exact way. More importantly was that willingness that was inside of me to say, I want to have people in my life in this particular capacity, and I am willing to look for them wherever they are, right? Yep. And just keep looking and trying and connecting. I can remember one time my late husband and I wanted to be at my niece's birthday so bad that we had a virtual Sunday morning breakfast. It was awesome. She and her husband made breakfast. We shared recipes. He made the breakfast. We made the breakfast. We ate together, right? So there's a lot of ways to create that community using whatever it is you have, whatever's at your disposal.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. And so how do we find that right fit? How do we know when we got a good fit?
Once again, we'll go back to listen to your belly button. Listen to your belly button. Like, we take in so much. Like, I was just reading, we take in like 14 million bits of information like every second, because all of our skin, like everything, and we have to trim it down so much to the stuff that we can actually pay attention to. And then we put in all the distractions, like you said, the radio, the electronics, all the devices, so we can't hear that. So if you go, like, be able to calm yourself down and go, okay, how am I liking this? Like, your body will tell you, as long as you get familiar with it. And being a very logical, like, fact-based person, it took me a while to get used to that. But I'm going, whenever I have paid attention to what my gut is telling me, and like I said, slowing down, it has always put me in the right direction. And then I can put like the logic and all of that stuff into it. But it's like, how am I feeling? Am I liking these people? Are they welcoming? Is it the right fit for me? Because like I said, I've been to all sorts of different networking groups, and I've been to ones that, okay, this is not the right fit for me, but I've actually recommended them for clients because I'm going, I know it's going to be good for them. So slow down, pay attention. Like, what are the values of the group? What are they there for? How are they welcoming you? And it might take a couple times of going to go, okay, is this working for me?
Yeah, and there's some inner work to do there too, right? There's
Oh, there's
some,
always inner work. That never
yeah.
ends. If you're breathing, you're working on the inner part.
That's great. That's great. Well, so here we are in that process. We've
Mhm.
tuned in. We've made a few decisions. We got a little community around us, whichever way, however, whatever way we got that. And how do we make the next step toward that dream, toward fulfilling that dream?
Well, I go, you need to put together a plan. And you need to put together a plan because not because that's the plan that's going to get you somewhere, but it gets you thinking about things. It gets you go, okay, what are my next steps? It gets you attracting people and resources and stuff to you. And you constantly need to be adjusting. But when you're planning, it forces you to slow down a bit in order to be more deliberate and be looking at things. Like I used to race cars. My husband still does. I don't have time for it anymore. And one of the things that you learn when you are racing, and a lot of the time in order to go faster, you actually have to slow down a bit so that you can keep things under control. And a lot of it comes down to, like I said, your plan. Where do I want to be going? And okay, how can I be working on getting there? Like I say when I'm working with my business people, like as you see it right now, what is your end goal? Like, are we looking at building like the next Amazon or Facebook, like a huge company? Or are you going, no, I want this to be something that I enjoy. I keep it nice and small, but it's more than looking after my family and all of this stuff. Both are perfectly good or anything in between, but you're going to do things differently if you're looking at building like a multi-billion-dollar company than if you're looking at, okay, I want to just have a nice, comfortable solopreneur life. And then, okay, how are we going to be working it? Because it's like, okay, if you're in North Dakota and you're going, okay, I'm going to go on a vacation. Okay, well, vacation's a wonderful thing. Where are you going on vacation? Are you going to Hawaii? Are you going to be going to Europe? Are you going to be going to Florida and going to Disney World? All are perfectly fine destinations, but you're going to have to do things differently depending on where you want to be. Like you could drive to Florida. You're not going to be driving to Europe and you're not going to be driving to Hawaii. So you're going to have to do things differently. And that very much helps you out. And that's another reason why a coach comes in to help you figure out these things, because a lot of people just, okay, they just get busy. They just start doing stuff and then they get frustrated and they're going, well, this isn't working out the way I wanted. Well, do you even know what it is that you want?
Yeah.
And then if you
Yeah.
do know what you want, are you doing the right stuff? Like you said, if you start going, okay, you know what, my goal is to get to Hawaii, and you get in your car, well, are you driving to the airport? Are you trying to drive to California and then I'm going to start swimming, or I'll see about getting on a merchant ship, or what?
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I really hear you talking about clarity here,
Yeah.
getting really, really clear, not just about what you want in this sort of, a lot of times when people think about, oh, I want a life that is happy or easy or whatever those things are, that there's another, the next level is, and what does it look like? What are you doing in your daily life? Are you counting your billions
Mm-hmm.
and running a large company, which is a lot more than just counting your billions?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you having this experience in your own home where you're able to work from home and all of these things? So getting really, really clear about what lights you up sounds like that's really that next piece, that clarity piece.
Yeah, and very, very much so. But it's also okay. Once you start going away, you're going. You might think that that's the way that you wanted to go, but you find out that no, it isn't. And then you can make adjustments. Like if like 1969, we put Neil Armstrong on the moon,
Mm,
and after launch, he was the Apollo spaceship was only on course 3% of the time. 3%. That's it. 97% of the time, they were off course and having to make adjustments. And there's so many people that going, okay, so I made my plan And the first time they hit an obstacle and they have to make an adjustment, they're going, well, obviously this doesn't work. Well, sometimes it's just an adjustment. Sometimes you're actually going in completely the wrong direction. So it's like, okay, I know where I want to be going, and I am clued enough in on myself, and I've got good people around me, like a coach in my community, that can help me see things that I'm not aware of, so that I can constantly be adjusting, because there is no such thing as a straight line.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's a really important piece of that puzzle, isn't it? Because it really speaks to that daily practice of finding your inner voice, really listening to your gut for every decision, and also not getting beat up by the fact that life is life, and you're going to run into rocks. Like, that is the way life is, and there are going to be things that stop you, and you have to ask yourself in that moment. Is this something that's going to stop me, or is this something that I'm going to go around?
Yeah, or is it a redirection? Like when the pandemic shut everything down in 2020, there's a lot of people that they literally shut down. They didn't know how to deal with it because, okay. And then there's other people that were coming up with other ways of doing things, and they're learning stuff, and business is going different way. And it's, like I said, I'm all for the planning, but it's also making sure that you don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, because there's some people, it's like, no, until it's perfect and I know exactly what's going to go on. I'm going, you know what? It's impossible to know everything that's going to go on. Like, how many people could have predicted the entire world being shut down in March 2020? Very few. And we're still dealing with stuff and all of this stuff. And it's constantly, we're having to adjust, but it's being aware of, where do I want to be going? And okay, well, I thought I would have to take this route, but now that route's been shut down because of a landslide. Okay, how can I get around it? Or maybe this is a better way of doing it. But it's listening and acting.
I like that. For me, I hear you talking about refractory period, right? So there's a when we quit, for lack of a better term, right? When we get knocked down, right? When we're in this position where we feel angry, depressed, worried, stressed, whatever it is, we fell off of our high horse, and we go like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know. If we stay there for 30 seconds, then that's a really different outcome. And then work our way back to that, as you said, to the vision of the dream. But if we stay there for 2 months, that's a really different thing. And I remember in the beginning of the pandemic situation, that was the big question, was like, how fast could we adjust? How flexible do you feel in your life? How easy is it for you to imagine that everything is working out for you, even though you don't know how yet, right? That you will figure it out. Yep. That you will figure, as Marie Forleo says in the business world, it's all figure outable, right?
Yes.
So I like that. That's great.
That's great. Well, figure outable.
It is. It is. Yeah, it really is. So Tammy, tell us, how can we get in touch with you? Because I am sure that people will want to check out your website and all the things that you've got going on.
Well, best way is through my website, which is ksabusiness.ca, or you can find me on Instagram at ksa.business. And I'm always up for talking with people that are looking to make a positive difference in the world.
Nice. Really nice. And tell us a little bit about, you have a free gift.
Yes. So I have what I call the Solopreneur self-assessment, because everybody goes into business with some strengths. They go in with some weaknesses. And the biggest part is they go in with stuff that they don't even know they need to know. So it's a quick little thing that you can download for free, where it helps you figure out, like I said, where you're strong, where you're weak, and the most important stuff, the stuff that you don't even have a clue about, so that you can figure out where do you need the help and support, and to better build a business. Because I work with solopreneurs as early in their journey as possible, like idea stage up to 2 years, because I am on a mission to fix the absolute dismal failure rate of new businesses. And it's completely unnecessary. most businesses fail, and they're failing not because they don't have a good product or service or because the owner isn't working hard enough. It's because the owner doesn't have the business skills needed to support their business. So that's how I help them, by teaching them the basic foundational skills that they need. And it's a really good way to figure out, like I said, where are you strong, where are you weak, and where did you even not even know what you needed to know.
Really good point. Really good point. Well, thank you so much. I want to remind everybody, of course, that you can go to donnalynn.blog and find all sorts of information there about what a joy coach can do for you, why you would bother prioritizing joy, like what does it matter, right? And how's it going to impact your life? So that's donnalynn.blog. And also there is an in-depth assessment you can do at joyousonpurpose.com. And that will really give you a sense of where do you sit in relationship to joy. So if you want to do that, that's a great way to assess that in yourself. Thank you so much for being here today, Tammy. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.